The world was vast and dark clouds surged as if a dragon was churning it. In the mountains, there was a vast valley. The huge peaks in all directions were like fingers with their palms facing the sky. In the valley, Tao Sovereign, Zhao Xianyuan, and Jiang Yi stood side by side as they looked at a huge cauldron in the distance. Green smoke curled up as the elder in the raincoat stood on the back of the water buffalo and looked down into the cauldron. The elder in the raincoat placed his left hand behind his waist and stroked his beard with his right hand. He frowned. Zhao Xianyuan muttered, "The situation doesn't seem optimistic." Jiang Yi said with a worried expression, "What if we fail? If we knew earlier, we should have left after obtaining the supreme treasure. We shouldn't have listened to this old Taoist. Now, we're trapped in this world by the great Tao Divine Spirit. We'll all die once we can't refine the primordial pill." Tao Sovereign frowned and looked at the elder in the raincoat with resentment. The elder in the raincoat heard their conversation and said angrily, "You three brats. Stop gossiping behind my back. When have I ever lied to you? It's just that the primordial pill is damaged. After all, countless years have passed. This is normal." Zhao Xianyuan rolled his eyes. He wanted to retort, but Tao Sovereign stopped him. "Don't disturb him, lest something really happens." Tao Sovereign pulled Zhao Xianyuan and Jiang Yi into the forest to meditate. After the three of them left, the old man frowned again. "What's going on? It doesn't make sense. Why can't the primordial pill take form?" The elder in the raincoat thought of a possibility and trembled. "Impossible! Absolutely impossible! If the primordial fiend celestial had already been born and was not discovered, how terrifying would that be? A terrifying existence with immeasurable potential had been secretly growing. Wouldn't the entire chaos be slaughtered when he appeared?" The elder in the raincoat shifted his gaze back to the cauldron. A purple pill floated above the rolling flames and spun on its own. Its surface was covered in cracks. "No! If this continues, that fellow will definitely kill us if we can't refine the pill." The old man's eyes turned ruthless. He suddenly turned to look at Tao Sovereign and the other two. The old man in the raincoat used a voice transmission to explain, afraid that the great Tao Divine Spirit outside the world would hear him. Tao Sovereign and the other two's expressions changed. They did not curse. Instead, they sent a voice transmission to scold the elder. Those vulgar words entered the elder's ears, causing him to be furious. He couldn't show it on his face. "The reason why I'm not consuming it is that I want to maintain my rationality and use my spatial and time mystical power to avoid the pursuit of the great Tao Divine Spirit. Do you still want to live?" "That's right. I'll show you my cards. This pill can't be repaired. Everyone will die once it's discovered." Facing such a scoundrel, Zhao Xianyuan almost wanted to attack. Tao Sovereign took a deep breath and was about to take a step forward, but Jiang Yi left first, leaving only one sentence for the two of them: "Let me go. I just want to recall the invincible me from the past. Unfortunately, Sept Master can't see my glory. I really want him to tell me another story." Tao Sovereign frowned and could only sigh. Zhao Xianyuan gritted his teeth and wanted to stop him, but he had no choice. Jiang Yi came to the cauldron and jumped up, standing on it. The elder did not say anything else. He waved his sleeve and sent the primordial pill to his mouth. Jiang Yi opened his mouth and swallowed it. Whoosh! Jiang Yi's body suddenly burned with true sun flame. A pair of fire wings spread out from his back and wrapped around the old man and the cauldron. Immediately after, the elder in the raincoat jumped out and frantically patted the true sun flame on his body. "Little beast!" The elder cursed silently, but he did not dare to say it, afraid that he would be discovered by the great Tao Divine Spirit. However, the great Tao Divine Spirit was not so easily fooled. What are you doing? A thunderous shout shook the entire world. Jiang Yi suddenly transformed into a huge three-legged golden crow and roared into the sky, as if he was shouting. He dared to challenge the great Tao Divine Spirit. What aura is this? How dare you? How dare you take the primordial pill without permission? The great Tao Divine Spirit was first surprised, then became furious. The rolling thundercloud suddenly exploded. A terrifying, huge hand descended and grabbed at Jiang Yi. With the anger of the gods, the world changed color. Inside the Taoist temple, Hanju had just entered seclusion for 10,000 years when he opened his eyes. He was already 1.2 million years old. Recently, he had been feeling inexplicably uneasy, causing him to be unable to cultivate in peace. Therefore, his seclusion ended after 10,000 years. He observed the 100-peak immortal river. No one was about to leave like the Fusong tree. He immediately came to her Taoist temple and asked, "What's wrong?" He checked Xing Hongshuan's body and found nothing unusual. The fetus was fine, only trembling slightly. Xing Hongxian opened her eyes and said with lingering fear, "Husband, I started dreaming for some reason. I dreamed that our son kept crying and that something around him seemed to want to hurt him." Hanju frowned and started to deduce. Soon, he locked onto Jiang Yi. He could sense a very dangerous aura from Jiang Yi, making him see him as his natural enemy. He immediately checked his emails and discovered Jiang Yi's situation. "Your good friend Jiang Yi has obtained the power of the primordial fiend celestial. He has lost his mind and his cultivation has increased greatly." The power of the primordial fiend celestial? He checked Jiang Yi's profile picture and saw that he did not transform into a primordial fiend celestial. He had no choice but to use the derivation function. He deducted 500 billion years of his lifespan and entered the illusion. Not long after, he opened his eyes. Primordial pill. There's actually such a divine item in the world? Hanju frowned and continued to ask in his mind, how was this primordial pill born? 1 quadrillion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? The value of a Tao creator. Continue. Primordial pill. Before the chaos, the primordial fiend celestial's Tao fruit transformed. Because the chaos replaced the primordial chaos, the primordial fiend celestial died. The Tao fruit carried a chance of survival and transformed into the primordial pill. Because of the current existence of the primordial fiend celestial in the chaos, the primordial pill lost its effect. Only the remnant power of the main body remains. The primordial fiend celestial before the chaos. Hanju's expression darkened. Crap. Jiang Yi's actions would definitely attract the attention of those terrifying existences. He would be doomed if he was labeled as a primordial fiend celestial. Hanju hesitated to save Jiang Yi. He suddenly thought of something. Jiang Yi had already lost his mind. Am I Jiang Yi's match now? 500 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Not for the time being. Jiang Yi has already been possessed by the primordial fiend celestial. He will directly die after the short-term possession effect ends. He would die. What were these 3 unlucky fellows doing? Who was that old Taoist riding a cow? Hanju continued to use the derivation function. I want to know who the old Taoist who made Jiang Yi take the primordial pill is? 300 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. A line of words appeared in front of Hanju. Lao Dan, early stage Great Tao Supreme Realm, Laozi's Dharma Idol, Immeasurable Emperor, Sword Tao Sword Spirit. Laozi's Dharma Idol? Hanju frowned. What did he want? Trying to scheme against him? With Lao Dan's cultivation, it was impossible for him to not deduce the relationship between Dao Sovereign and the other two. It was impossible for him to not know Hanju with heavenly venerate Shen-Du around. In an instant, killing intent burst out of Hanju's eyes. The most important thing now was to save Jiang Yi. It was impossible to go personally. It was too dangerous. Hanju could only think of a way to save Jiang Yi as far as possible. He looked into the distance. Especially Jiang Yi. How violent! Even Hanju was shocked. There was a mighty figure outside the restriction. He was probably also in existence with the Great Tao. His aura was powerful, and Hanju couldn't see through him. The terrifying true sun flame suddenly broke through the restriction and drowned the supreme existences. Flames burned space, and layers of space shattered until the primordial void appeared. Hanju finally saw Jiang Yi. He had already transformed into a flaming man. He had a human figure and a golden crow head. He had a pair of fire wings on his back, and his height was immeasurable. Even supreme existences seemed tiny in front of him. Jiang Yi roared angrily. The endless true sun flame swept in all directions. Even Hanju, who was in the heavenly Tao, felt his eyes burn. How scorching was this? Hanju was secretly shocked. How strong was the primordial fiend celestial before the chaos? Why did he die since he was so strong? For a time, Hanju was confused and even a little sad. Facing the crazy Jiang Yi, the supreme existences could not stop him at all. Jiang Yi rushed in a direction fearlessly. The true sun flame burned everything along the way. The stars and space turned into nothingness. Lao Dan brought Dao Sovereign and Zhao Shenyuan away and entered the spatial turbulence. Zhao Shenyuan asked anxiously, "Where's Jiang Yi? Did you ignore him?" Lao Dan cursed. "How? We were lucky not to be burned to death just now. Damn it, I didn't expect the effect of the primordial pill to be so domineering." He was filled with fear. How terrifying was the true primordial fiend celestial? The thought of being targeted by the primordial fiend celestial made Lao Dan shiver in fear. Dao Sovereign gritted his teeth and asked, "What will happen to him after that? Will he die?" Dao Sovereign did not dare to imagine. Lao Dan was silent. Dao Sovereign said angrily, "Let us go back. I'll just die with him." Zhao Shenyuan also expressed his standing. "Old thing, you harmed us brothers. You will die a horrible death. Hurry up and let us back." Lao Dan looked at them in disbelief. "Are you crazy? You'll only die for nothing if you go back. The three of us will live and die together," Dao Sovereign said firmly, causing Lao Dan to fall silent. Zhao Shenyuan urged, "Don't pretend to be dead." The two of them were wrapped in Lao Dan's dermic powers and could not move. Otherwise, they would have long flown out. Lao Dan gritted her teeth. "I'm really unlucky to have the three of you. Forget it, I'll risk my life to save that kid." He began to form hand seals. His surging dermic powers stirred his raincoat, and a door of light appeared in front of him. Immediately after, a figure slowly walked out. This person looked identical to Lao Dan, but he wore a Taoist robe. His temperament was extraordinary and his expression was indifferent, as if he had no emotions. Lao Dan looked embarrassed and said shamelessly, "Help me save someone. It's behind. You should be able to feel it." The other party was his true body, Laozi. Laozi asked expressionlessly, "Is it because of you?" Lao Dan coughed and nodded awkwardly. Laozi vanished without another word. Lao Dan heaved a sigh of relief. Zhao Shenyuan asked curiously, "Who was that just now? Your brother?" Lao Dan snorted. "We are the same person, like the main body and a clone." "You're the clone? How is that possible?" "Of course, He's the clone. Don't worry, your brother's life will be saved with him around. The main body is not as strong as the clone? Can you brag better? Brat, do you want to anger me to death? Zhao Xinyuan fell silent. The sourc of this content NOVL by the atmosphere instantly fell silent. Dao Sovereign and Zhao Xinyuan were both worried about Jiang Yi. Lao Den was also very embarrassed to see them so dejected. On the other side, Hanju suddenly saw a powerful aura approaching the battlefield, directly isolating his gaze and preventing him from spying on the battlefield. What was that? Hanju immediately checked the emails. There was indeed something. Your good friend Jiang Yi was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure and was severely injured. Your good friend Jiang Yi's soul has been squeezed dry and is about to die. Your good friend Jiang Yi was saved by a mysterious mighty figure. His remnant soul was protected. He was saved? Who was this mysterious mighty figure? Hanju immediately deduced. 900 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? So high? Continue. A line of words appeared in front of him. Laozi, perfected Great Tao Supreme Realm, Transcendent Tao Expert, Pango Essence Soul, personal disciple of the Tao Ancestor, creator of the Sword Tao, ancestor of the 100 Schools, immeasurable Emperor, ancestor of the Human School, founder of the Great Tao. How impressive! Hanju was shocked. He had guessed that Laozi might be very strong, but he didn't expect him to be so strong. This was even stronger than the previous Holy Mother of Order. No wonder Heavenly Venerate Xian Du was confident in resisting the entire deity realm of the Ruins of End. He had such a powerful backing. Hanju was originally very dissatisfied with Laozi and thought that he was plotting against him. Now that Laozi had saved Jiang Yi, this dissatisfaction vanished like smoke. Will Jiang Yi be thought of as the primordial fiend celestial after this battle? Hanju frowned and fell into worry. Laozi definitely knew that Jiang Yi was not the primordial fiend celestial, but could he protect him? Soon, the battlefield ended. He looked over and didn't see Laozi or the supreme existences anymore. Hanju's uneasiness dissipated. The power of the primordial fiend celestial had already vanished. At this moment, Xing Hongshen said, "Husband, my son is quiet again." Just now, Hanju stood beside her and stared in one direction with a serious expression. She didn't dare to disturb him. Hanju came back to his senses and said, "Yes, it's over. Don't tell anyone about this. Just pretend that nothing happened." Xing Hongshen nodded. She did not ask why. She wasn't stupid. Her son had been nurtured for so many years and had yet to be born. He was definitely extraordinary and might attract many disasters. He opened the emails and checked. He did not see any updates on Jiang Yi and the other two, so he could only give up. Forget it. Continue cultivating. Another 10,000 years passed. 10,000 years was a long time for mortals, an unattainable promise to stay together to people in love, and a day to those who attain the Tao. Hanju opened his eyes. During this period of time, he didn't receive Laozi's dream. He didn't know what Laozi's attitude was towards Jiang Yi. He started checking his emails. Your son Han Tuo was attacked by a mysterious ghost, X103932. Your good friend Yi Tian was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure and was severely injured. Your good friend Jiang Yi has reconstructed his body and cultivated the divine yang indestructible body. Your disciple Dao Sovereign has entered the primordial world's illusion. Your disciple Zhao Xinyuan has entered the primordial world's illusion. Your grand disciple Chu Shuren has more than 100 million believers. His providence has increased. Your good friend Divine Lord Peacock was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure and was severely injured. Jiangyi had indeed benefited from a disaster. Hanju liked Laozi more. He was different from the other great Tao sages. He seemed to really have no desires. Perhaps it was precisely because of this that Laozi could shake off the great Tao sages in the deity realm of the ruins of End and focus on seeking the Tao, constantly surpassing the peak. Hanju continued reading. The other disciples had their own opportunities in the past 10,000 years and were all doing well. He still acknowledged this fellow. If not for him pestering the cursed fiend Celestial for hundreds of thousands of years, it wouldn't have died so easily. Hanju thought for a moment and decided to care about Divine Lord Peacock. He began to send a dream to him, appearing as the Dark Forbidden Lord. The dream was a beautiful starry sky. The galaxy was magnificent and the light was layered. Divine Lord Peacock opened his eyes and was pleasantly surprised to see Hanju. Forbidden Lord, you've finally appeared. Divine Lord Peacock said excitedly and went in front of him. The cursed fiend Celestial has disappeared for some reason. I can't find him, Divine Lord Peacock said gloomily. Hanju said, the cursed fiend Celestial is already dead. Dead? Divine Lord Peacock was stunned. He had been entangled with the cursed fiend Celestial for so long and knew how powerful it was. This fellow might have average dermic powers, but his escape ability was still very strong. Could it be the Dark Forbidden Lord had personally taken action? Divine Lord Peacock was in awe. Hanju didn't explain further and asked, who injured you recently? Furious, Divine Lord Peacock immediately cursed, it's all because of that fellow. His name is Divine Lord Xinu, a great Tao sage. He joined the Life faction and was extremely arrogant. He insisted that I submit to him. I'm still being suppressed by him. Divine Lord Xinu. Hanju had never heard of him. He would use the derivation function to ask later. Forbidden Lord, since you're here, it means that you want to save me. Hurry up and attack. This fellow tortures me every day. I really can't stand it, Divine Lord Peacock said helplessly. If he did not encounter a great Tao sage, he would be in existence in the chaos. However, he was facing problems because of his potential. Great Tao sages often targeted him, wanting to subdue him. His situation was the most difficult among the Freedom Sages. As long as he had the backing of a great Tao sage, Divine Lord Peacock could attain the great Tao at any time. However, this fellow was stubborn and refused to bow his head. Hanju asked, did you learn anything about life from Divine Lord Xinu? Divine Lord Peacock thought for a moment and said, he mentioned the devil ancestor before. He said that there are two geniuses under him who are from the heavenly Tao. They both have talent that isn't inferior to mine and will join life sooner or later. If I don't surrender, he will snatch my Tao fruit and give it to those two geniuses to help them obtain stronger potential. What nonsense! No one's talent can surpass mine, not even a chaotic fiend celestial. Divine Lord Peacock was full of conceit. Hanju remained silent. Although Divine Lord Peacock was powerful, to be honest, Hanju didn't think that he was really the most talented. However, Divine Lord Xinu actually targeted Hantua and Yiqian. This was not good. Hanju said, show me this Divine Lord Xinu's appearance. I'll help you resolve this problem. Divine Lord Peacock was waiting for him to say this. He raised his hand and waved, and a figure appeared beside him. Hanju noted it down silently and removed the dream. He opened his eyes and asked in his mind, can I insta-kill Divine Lord Xinu? 150 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? This value. Hanju suddenly didn't want to ask anymore. Forget it. Remain steady. Continue. Yes. Hanju was bored. He had wasted 150 billion years of his lifespan. With this value, he would definitely be insta-killed. What am I worried about? No. I should be worried. Being cautious was the right thing to do. This was one of the reasons why he could live until today. How could he despise his own caution? Hanju's eyes became firm and flashed with killing intent. The dark forbidden zone had never been used since its creation. It was time to show off. Hanju directly sent a dream to Divine Lord Xinu. It was still the image of the dark forbidden lord. Divine Lord Xinu wore a dark purple robe and a curtain pearl crown. At first glance, he looked like an emperor. Divine Lord Xinu stared at him and frowned. Who are you? He was actually pulled into a dream. Before he entered the dream, he was still refining pills and was not distracted. Hanju said, "Let Divine Lord Peacock go. Perhaps I can give you a way out." Divine Lord Xinu immediately laughed wildly when he heard that. I didn't expect Divine Lord Peacock to have someone backing him. However, he's already my pet. Stop dreaming. He wanted to jump out of the dream, but he realized that he could not. It seemed that the other party was stronger than him. However, it was useless. It was only a dream. Could this guy kill him in his dreams? Divine Lord Xinu smiled. That's right. It's fine if you want to join life. Life is stronger than you can imagine. The chaos will definitely be dominated by life in the future. Life will create darkness and create the final meaning of existence. This guy was crazy. Hanju couldn't be bothered to chat with him anymore and directly used the dark forbidden zone. In an instant, the entire dreamscape twisted violently. Darkness drowned them. Hanju took out the heaven-opening axe and appeared in front of him. Divine Lord Xinu subconsciously waved his sleeve, and his robe emitted divine light to resist the heaven-opening axe. Boom! With a swing of the axe, his robe shattered and Divine Lord Xinu was cut into two. The violent dermic powers destroyed his body and soul. This great Dao sage couldn't block Hanju's full-powered attack at all. Hanju waved his axe again. Inside the Taoist temple, Hanju opened his eyes and sighed slightly. Being invincible is really lonely. Another insta-kill. There's no experience to speak of, Hanju muttered to himself. At his realm, a second was actually very long. It was enough for him to swing the heaven-opening axe billions of times. Hanju sent a dream to Divine Lord Peacock after killing Divine Lord Xinu. So fast? Divine Lord Peacock was stunned. How long had it been since the last dream? Could it be that the Dark Forbidden Lord had been following him and secretly protecting him? Impossible! Or... Divine Lord Peacock looked at the Dark Forbidden Lord with reverence. Hanju said, "Find a place to cultivate after you leave. I'll inform you at any time if I need you in the future." With that, Hanju directly removed the dream. Divine Lord Peacock opened his eyes. He was imprisoned in a furnace. The space inside was extremely vast, like a world of flames. He looked up at the sky. 5-colored divine light shot out from his back and pierced through the sky, causing white light to shoot down from the entrance. Divine Lord Peacock jumped out and appeared in a hall. The hall was silent. Other than him, no other living beings could be seen. Divine Lord Peacock observed his surroundings warily but did not detect Divine Lord Xinu's aura. Divine Lord Xinu shouldn't have fled. If he did, the power of the Dharma treasure would still be there. Only if he died would the restrictions of this cauldron weaken. Thus, Divine Lord Peacock could escape on his own. Divine Lord Peacock scanned the hall disdainfully. Then, He put away the cauldron that had suppressed him and left. Divine Lord Xianyu also had a world under him. There was no lack of sages. Divine Lord Peacock was filled with anger and needed to vent, so he slaughtered this world. Several hours later, Divine Lord Peacock appeared in the dark forbidden zone. He snorted. If you want to blame someone, blame yourselves for being born in the wrong place. He transformed into a 5-colored divine light and vanished into the darkness. Buzhou Divine Mountain. Hanyu was meditating under the old tree when he suddenly opened his eyes and saw Qinling floating in front of him. Qinling wore divine armor and held a divine weapon. He flew with divine might and was more imposing than the immortals Hanyu had seen. Their eyes met and they smiled. Qinling landed and knelt in front of him and said firmly, "Unfilial Grand Disciple Qinling has returned to visit Grandmaster." He kowtowed. The woman in green in the distance was alarmed and opened her eyes to see this scene. She was secretly shocked. Qinling was not simple at a glance. Other than Hanju, she had never seen anyone with a stronger bearing than Qinling. Even Hanyu seemed weak in front of him. Qinling noticed the woman in green and asked, "She is?" Hanyu smiled. "Cultivators on the mountain. Don't worry about her. Tell me why you're back. How have you been for the past hundreds of thousands of years?" "Sure." Qinling agreed readily. He was also very excited to see Hanyu again. The woman in green was secretly shocked. Hundreds of thousands of years. If even his grand disciple was like this, how long had this senior lived? Qinling began to talk from the moment he went to the chaos. Soon, the woman in green listened carefully. Several days later, Qinling had just finished speaking when Hanyu sighed. He didn't expect Qinling to live such an exciting life all these years. The woman in green looked at Qinling with admiration. If it were her, she would have given up long ago. She suddenly felt that the hatred she carried was nothing. After so many years, his master had probably already reincarnated. He might have already reincarnated as a prodigy. Qinling looked at the woman in green and hesitated. Hanyu immediately told her to go down the mountain. Get latest Oval Chpters on NVE/LBJN. CM. The woman in green curled her lips and immediately went down the mountain. Then, Qinling explained the reason for his return. Qinling said calmly, "Grandmaster Zhoufen told me that with the approval of the Divine Might Heavenly Sage, nothing will go wrong. The sages won't dare to scheme against me." At the mention of Hanju, the worry on Hanyu's face immediately disappeared. "In that case, I won't stop you." Hanyu smiled. Qinling laughed. Hanyu sighed. "I didn't expect you to have already grown so powerful. You can hold your own and are even stronger than me. It really makes me happy." "Me? You're the only one who knows how to talk." Hee hee. Qinling left several months later. Hanyu stood at the edge of the cliff as he watched him leave. Yihan. At this moment, he truly felt that Qinling had grown up. Hanyu felt inexplicably empty. Hanyu couldn't help but think of Hanju. The hidden sect had nurtured countless geniuses, and many had even made a name for themselves in the chaos. Would the ancestor be as dejected as him? Impossible. Hanyu couldn't help but laugh, feeling that he was being silly. In the next 100 years, Qinling's reputation as a prodigy was frequently mentioned in the immortal world. First, many sages said that his talent was the strongest. Then, Qinling challenged everyone everywhere to prove his strength. No one could hurt Qinling. They were all forcefully suppressed by him. At the same time, the Divine Palace began to create momentum for Xiaojizuan. In the next 5,000 years, Qinling and Xiaojizuan's reputation reached its peak. They became peerless geniuses that everyone in the immortal world knew. Until one day, these two unparalleled geniuses of the immortal world actually agreed to fight at the peak of Kunlun Mountain, shaking the immortal world. The day of the final battle arrived. Billions of cultivators surrounded Kunlun Mountain and watched from afar. This battle was world-shattering. All the cultivators watching the battle were convinced, as expected of a peerless genius. The two peerless geniuses were on par. In the end, they perished together and self-destructed, fighting to the death. Heavenly Venerate Xian Du took action and protected the two souls. Because they had caused huge destruction to the immortal world and accidentally injured countless spectators, Heavenly Venerate Xian Du let them reincarnate and awaken in the mortal world. Two unparalleled geniuses appeared in the same era and died together. This battle became a legend that lasted for thousands of years. Not only in the immortal world but also in the myriad worlds and even in the chaotic heavenly road. Perhaps they had not reached the sage realm, but their talent was left behind by countless cultivators in the future. Their future would be limitless if they didn't die young. It was precisely because of this that many cultivators even believed that their deaths were caused by sages, afraid that two more Pangu would appear. Netherworld. In the Yama Hall, young Tiandong looked at Qinling, who was tied up by the soul chains in the hall, and sighed. Not bad, not bad. Although he's dead, he still fought for the hidden sect. Qinling's expression was originally indifferent. Hearing this, he couldn't help but be moved. He asked cautiously, "The King of Hell has a relationship with the hidden sect?" "I do have a relationship with the hidden sect, and we are more than close," young Tiandong said casually with a casual expression. Qinling's curiosity was piqued. Which disciple of the hidden sect is familiar with the King of Hell? He respected the hidden sect very much. Although he was doing well and stirring up trouble in the immortal world, he knew that he was not ranked at all in the hidden sect. How many sages had the hidden sect nurtured? The number of geniuses was countless. Millions of disciples were cultivating in the 100-peak immortal river. The world would definitely be shocked once they were released. Young Tiandong cleared his throat and was about to posture when a voice entered his ears. Young Tiandong suddenly felt pity for Qinling. The unparalleled prodigy who had shocked the immortal world was actually a pawn. Why didn't the hidden sect protect him? Young Tiandong thought of Hanju and suddenly realized that Qinling, who was very powerful in his eyes, might not catch Hanju's eye at all. He immediately felt bored and lost the mood to posture. He waved his hand and said, "Go and reincarnate. I'll talk to you in the next life." Although Qinling was puzzled, he did not say anything. He would reincarnate first. The black and white deities left with his soul. Young Tiandong fell into endless memories. What would have happened to him now if he had obeyed his master's orders back then? Unfortunately, his potential was not good. Su Qi was also disobedient and even caused a calamity, causing the heavenly Tao to restart. Wasn't he still a sage now? In the end, he was unlucky and did not have great providence. Young Tiandong sighed. He looked at his King of Hell Hall and felt depressed and melancholic. Actually, this was good too. There was no need to worry about life and death. He stayed here all day and watched as the tides rose and fell. This was also a status and power that he had never dared to imagine attaining. Young Tiandong smiled and became happy again. In a mysterious space that only had white light, dozens of black shadows gathered. Their true appearance could not be seen. They were all facing an extremely huge black shadow. Divine Lord Xianu died very quickly. He couldn't resist at all. Before he died, he sent me this face, the huge black shadow said in a low voice. As soon as he finished speaking, two red lights burst out from his eyes and interwove, condensing into the image of the dark forbidden lord. The Dark Forbidden Lord looked very similar to the surrounding black shadows, but his body was surrounded by black flames. Most importantly, he held an axe. Who is this person? Was he harmed by fate? Wait, isn't this axe the heaven-opening axe? Previously, Heavenly Tao's Pen Xian pestered me and said that life had stolen his heaven-opening axe. Could it be? How is that possible? How can such a supreme treasure be stolen? I'm afraid he's acting. But Pen Xian is only a freedom sage. How can he easily kill a great Tao sage? Dozens of black shadows began to argue. Shi Dao, ancestor Shi Tian, and Li Daokong were also among them. Shi Dao was secretly puzzled. Why did the Dark Forbidden Lord want to kill life? Wasn't life created by him? He suddenly felt that he could not see through it anymore. The huge black shadow said, "Do you think he's the Dark Forbidden Lord?" Dark Forbidden Lord? All the black shadows were stunned. Most of them did not know much about the Dark Forbidden Lord. They had only heard of him. It was said that the deity realm of the ruins of En swept through the heavenly Tao. The reason why it failed time after another was not only because the heavenly Tao had given birth to a chaotic fiend celestial, but also because of the Dark Forbidden Lord. A black shadow said, "Isn't the Dark Forbidden Lord only good at curses?" The huge black shadow said in a low voice, "After thinking about it, it can only be the Dark Forbidden Lord. He cursed me before, even though he couldn't hurt me at all. It proves his motive. The Dark Forbidden Lord saved Divine Lord Peacock probably to nurture him. We don't know how many mighty figures he has under him. Next, we want you to spread the news that the Dark Forbidden Lord is killing life and is preparing to overturn the chaos. The Devil Ancestor will definitely appear. The chaotic fiend celestials and the eternal deities will each form a race. The chaos is already in chaos, so let's make it more chaotic. Chaos is a great battle. The chaos will only shatter in the battle. At that time, darkness will descend." Dozens of black shadows agreed. Shi Dao guessed. When darkness descended, he remembered that before he encountered life, the Dark Forbidden Lord had told him that when the darkness descended, it would be the day the Dark Forbidden Lord appeared. From the looks of it, the so-called life was only a pawn of the Dark Forbidden Lord. The current conflict was probably because the Dark Forbidden Lord wanted life to act faster. He had indeed been a little lazy recently. Hanju opened his eyes and frowned. He had been in seclusion for 10,000 years ever since he saved Divine Lord Peacock. He was getting closer and closer to breaking through. He took out the Book of Misfortune. It had long been upgraded and was now a great Tao Supreme treasure. It had been too long since he had cursed. He wasn't used to it. He immediately started cursing the first life Black Sovereign. He would curse for 5 days and end it before his lifespan decreased. Awesome! Hanju put away the Book of Misfortune and started to observe the heavenly Tao. The reason why he had only entered seclusion for 10,000 years was to see Qinling. Qinling had already reincarnated. His background was the same as the sage's plan. His village was attacked by demons and Buddhas. When he subdued the demons, he accidentally killed Qinling's parents. Qinling began to seek revenge and visit the immortals. At the age of 37, he finally met an expert from the Divine Palace and joined it. Qinling was still cultivating in the Divine Palace. Xiaojizuan had already reincarnated and was still a disciple of the Divine Palace. He did not hide his background, so after his reincarnation, he was still respected by the disciples. However, he couldn't remember everything about his previous life and could only know from his fellow disciples that he was very powerful in his previous life. They were both in the Divine Palace, and Xiaojizuan was the center of attention, while Qinling was only an ordinary disciple. The two of them looked like they would never interact. Hanju looked away after a while. He believed that the sages would not dare to act recklessly. If anyone really dared, he would show the dignity of the divine might heavenly sage. It had been a long time since Hanju used force on the sages. He guessed that the new sages didn't know his strength very well. Then, he began to check his emails. Your good friend Tian was attacked by chaotic devil insects, X9900288743. Your son Han Tuol was attacked by chaotic devil insects, X9028366722. Your good friend Shidudao was attacked. Your good friend ancestor Shitian was attacked. Your good friend Li Daokong was attacked. Your good friend Evil Heavenly Emperor has obtained a chaotic supreme treasure. His providence has increased greatly. Hanju showed a frown. Huang Zuantian was loyal. He couldn't ignore him. After some thinking, Hanju decided to visit Huang Zuantian in his dreams.